My goodness, your Denver Broncos plan B is better than a lot of other teams' plan A, and the Broncos have just made a couple sneaky good moves after injuries that have cropped up here before the Broncos face the Jets that I think are absolutely brilliant. We got to break down in this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps the algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos, would you smash that like and subscribe button? So right off the bat, we are seeing some fantastic news on the injury report, and then we're seeing a little bit of concerning news that we definitely have to break down here. So fantastic news is just seeing that guys like Malcolm Roach, who we cannot wait to get back both as a locker room guy and just as a leader on the field, especially stopping the run, knowing that that's what the Jets want to do to us, is seeing here that Malcolm Roach is a full participant. That is fantastic news. And then just seeing everyone else who was on this list yesterday is limited is a full go. The one here that is concerning is Jonah Elliss. Jonah Elliss, we know, has not only helped Nick Bonitto not have to play in 100% of the snaps and Jonathan Cooper not play in 100% of the snaps, but we've seen him step up and just play phenomenally in special teams as well. So the interesting thing here, and I think the really good move that the Broncos have here, is that Q Robinson has been licking his chops and waiting since the preseason to get in there. And we heard today from Vance Joseph that if indeed Jonah Elliss is not playing in the game against the Jets on Sunday, that we are going to slot Q Robinson right in there. He's had a couple of great weeks of practice, and I think that's phenomenal. Going back to Alabama, one of the crazy things is that you hear Nick Saban in the draft process say that he was a core special teams guy, one of the better special teams player they ever had in Alabama, probably, is what he said. So extremely high praise from one of the highest caliber schools that you could possibly have. And then we've seen him not just like be a special teamer, like he can step in. I love him filling in for Jonah Elliss there, but then we saw just what he could do there as a pass rusher, seeing just this George Payton and Sean Payton ability to go out and find edge rush talent. They fall off dump trucks for George Payton. That's just how good he is at finding Nick Bonitto deep in the draft, finding Jonathan Cooper in the 7th round. I trust these guys, especially when it comes to evaluating this position, and you know how hyped they are about Q Robinson. So I think that's phenomenal. And then just knowing that in the pre-draft process, he was a lot of like football dudes' biggest sleeper there, that he was playing at Alabama with a bunch of other absolute studs, and so he was knocked around that depth chart. But had he not been, I think there was 2 other edge rushers picked in the first round that he played alongside, and if it was not for that fact, he definitely would have been a very early on draft pick. And so I love the fact that while we're waiting for Jonah Elliss to get healthy, we hear Nick Saban say he's one of the best special teams players he's ever had. So we know he'll be able to fill the slot there. And then I think as an edge rusher to spell Bonitto and spell Cooper, you put him with Dondre Tillman and watch out for that backfield. So I think that's a fantastic plan B to have. The next sneaky thing the Broncos have done that I think is really smart, and it's frustrating as a fan, is still in Broncos country. We are just a few days from that early tip-off against London, and we know Ben Powers is out probably the next 9 weeks or so with that bicep surgery. We still don't know, is this going to be Alex Palcheski or is it going to be Matt Peart? And I think the fact that Sean Payton is slow rolling who the starting guard is going to be is actually like one of the few strategic advantages that you can have, that knowing their team who's a desperate team at 0-5, they want every advantage they can have, and they don't know who's going to be our starting guard. And I just think that's a sneaky thing. And also just like the plethora of riches that we have in Denver, that like we have this just Jamaican massive man, really high upside, who didn't start playing football until he was late in his high school career. And a 5th round draft pick, I think. And, you know, you're talking about a 6'7", 318-pound guy who's just a behemoth. And Zach Strief has talked him up pretty much as high as you can. He talked about how Zach Strief tore him all the way down and rebuilt him and rebuilt his confidence. He played phenomenal in the preseason. And then we know Palcheski, who I thought was definitely going to be the starter at guard because of him filling in last year for Mike McGlinchey. We know what we have in him because we've already seen him this year in all of those jumbo packages that we've sent him in, knowing that he broke the Big Ten record for number of starts, All-American, like didn't give up a sack his senior year. So the Broncos have very great options there to fill in on just a stellar offensive line. So I think that is sneaky good that with both of those instances that we have either Alex Palcheski or Matt Peart and Q Robinson, you feel confident with all of those guys, especially against the New York Jets. Then the other plan B that the Broncos are confident in is, we know plan A is always the best corner in football, and that is Pat Surtain. Plan B is Riley Moss, and he has been taking a drubbing on Twitter because of a couple of bad plays, but I love the fact that you're seeing Vance Joseph and Sean Payton both jump on the hand grenade there and say he's actually playing really well. And some of the advanced analytics really break that or back that talk up. Like, they have no reason to say he's doing well. If they think he's the problem, then they would call it out, or they'd throw Jahdae Barron in there. We know Chris Abrams-Drain picked off Justin Herbert last year. They have options there if they truly don't think he's doing well, but the advanced analytics back up the fact that they've supported him, that he's only allowing a 42% completion percentage against him in coverage, which is phenomenal. And then he is forcing a tight window throw on 35% of his targets, which is just phenomenal. And Zach Segers did an awesome job here. He took each cornerback in football and he looked at what the passer rating is when that cornerback is in coverage, and then ranked them in the NFL. So when you look here, the best cornerback in football, according to that ranking, is Isaiah Rodgers from Minnesota, that when he's targeted 44, the passer rating is 44. But you look here, and you're seeing Riley Moss is right here at 83, which would put him in a top 10 position. So the advanced analytics as far as his separation, how many times he's been targeted, are really good, and that he's the 9th best cornerback in football when it comes to the opposing quarterback's passer rating when they target him. So I think that's phenomenal. And really, the one play that he let down, I'm sure he is in his own head about, is the fact that on a 3rd and 17, he is playing press coverage against a wide receiver who's really good at getting off of press coverage and really just go stand 15 yards deep and don't let that dude behind you. And I'm sure if the Broncos were to do that again, that would not be the result. But you see a couple lapses against T. Higgins early, and he rebounds back and plays incredible in that game. And so you just have the Broncos in this position here where our plan B is really, really stinking good. Marquee Sports points out here that he has one of the highest coverage grades, and he has one of the lowest separation grades on him, yet when you look at it, he is allowing a lot of yards, but he is in the right place, and he's going to continue to mature, get that head around, and I think he's going to start coming up with picks. After that Cincinnati game, Nick Bonito came to his defense and said in the locker room that Riley Moss came up to him and said, I love this. Like, I love being targeted over and over and over. Like, he is built for this, and I think he is just going to continue to mature, and he's going to be a great redemption story, because it seems like even Broncos fans have bailed on him, but Vance Joseph, Sean Payton haven't, and the advanced analytics haven't bailed on him either. Also, huge advantage the Broncos have here. They're going up against one of the youngest offensive lines in football, where you got multiple rookies starting on that offensive line. And I love here seeing that Nick Bonito has more sacks by himself, or the exact same number of sacks by himself that this entire Jets defense has. They have 7 sacks. Nick Bonito himself has 7. And he has more sacks than the Baltimore Ravens, who are supposed to have a pretty good defense, the 49ers, who are supposed to have a pretty good defense, the Bears, I've heard, have a pretty good defense, and he's just out in front, and that is just a really, really great thing. Last thing that I think is just a really exciting thing here about why are we all bullish right now on the Broncos. It's not only going in and beating the Super Bowl champs on a short week at an 11 a.m. start in their house. It is the fact that when you look at the schedule coming up here, it is extremely favorable. So this is a graphic put out by Tankathon that just shows the remaining schedule, who has the hardest schedule, who has the easiest schedule. And you're looking here at your Denver Broncos have the second to easiest schedule remaining in the all of NFL. The only team who has a more favorable schedule remaining is the New England Patriots. And that's just a phenomenal thing, that our tough games are the Jaguars. I don't even think the Jaguars are for real. The Packers, I think we match up extremely well. They're the exact same team that came in and we beat the brakes off of them in joint training camp practice when it was 1v1s. I feel great about playing them at home. The Chargers, who have a very difficult strength of schedule, you're seeing they're up here playing a lot of tough teams. They still got to play the Eagles and the Colts. We know how tough the Colts are. We got that in our rearview mirror. And then the Washington Commanders, that'll be a tough game. I don't think Dallas is a tough game at home. And then we have easy games here. One of the interesting things is this graphic, because of their record, has the Chiefs as easy games remaining. Other great thing when it comes to the Broncos winning the West is looking here at the Kansas City Chiefs have the 12th hardest remaining schedule. They got the Lions coming up here in a short week. They got to play the Bills, the Colts, the Chargers. They have to play us twice. So this is really shaping up that the Broncos should handle their business and should run away with the AFC West at this point, just because of how easy our schedule is, and probably more important than that, how we looked on film and what we saw going into Philadelphia and beating the best team in football on their home turf. Like, the future is wildly bright, and y'all never jumped off the bandwagon when we were 2-2. Like, you've Bo-LIEVed, and that's phenomenal, guys. We got a ton to Bo-LIEVE in.